We are a few days removed from a shooting in Jacksonville, Florida, in which a 21-year-old gunman killed 3 black people in a Dollar General. While there is still an ongoing investigation, there is enough reason to believe that the motive behind this shooting was anti-black racism. Swastikas were painted on his guns, and there is a manifesto in which the shooter lays out his distaste for black people. But I don't want this shooting to be the focus of this video. I more so want to talk about the response from Republicans to this mass shooting, and really, any mass shooting in general. I was watching a clip from the Majority Report, my favorite political commentary channel, and one of my favorite YouTube channels in general, where they respond to a clip from NBC News where they interview Vivek Ramaswamy, a GOP presidential candidate for 2024. For those of you who tuned in to my most recent live stream, you may remember me shouting about this guy, outright denying climate change during the first GOP presidential debate. This is the same guy. He was asked about this specific shooting in Jacksonville, and in response, he says there is a mental health epidemic, among other things. He also tried to say, well, there is a hyper-focus on racial issues these days, so maybe that plays a factor into why we're seeing so many racially motivated shootings. He also tried to deflect and say, what about the trans shooter that shut up a school a few months ago? Fucking idiot. Anyway, what I want to focus on is him saying there is a mental health epidemic. This is what Republicans always say in response to mass shootings, to obfuscate from the conversation of how easy it is for people who should not be within the vicinity of a weapon obtaining guns. Republicans do not give a single shit about mental health. Yes, I agree. This country does not take mental health seriously enough. So what the fuck are you gonna do about it? From PNHP.org, or Physicians for a National Health Program, as many as 44,789 Americans of working age die each year because they lack health insurance, more than the number of people who die from kidney disease. So upon hearing that news, Republicans, are you finally going to start advocating for single-payer health care, which would greatly benefit many people in this country, including those who are mentally unwell that you claim to care about oh so much? Nope. Instead, we see shit like this. This is a story from September of last year, but it's still very pertinent to the topic of this video. 205 Republicans vote against bill to expand school mental health services. The bill, introduced by Representative Mark D. Saulnier, I apologize, and supported by the White House, would provide grants for schools to hire more mental health experts and grow their mental health services, especially schools in areas with high need. It would also provide mental health protections to adults with private health insurance and children and staff in Head Start programs, which are aimed at serving low-income children from birth to age 5. Representative Virginia Foxx, a Republican from North Carolina, took issue with a portion of the bill that punishes employers when employees are denied mental health and substance abuse benefits, and said the country would be better off without the bill. Experts have said that children's mental health is in crisis. The COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on children's mental health, whether through trauma, loss, or otherwise, leading to a corresponding rise in mental health crises among children, research finds. Pediatric mental health professionals say that legislation aimed at permanently increasing resources for children's mental health is sorely needed. And Republicans essentially said, too fucking bad. This is why you never fucking buy whenever they're crowing on about mental health in the wake of these mass shootings. They don't actually care about the issue. They're only weaponizing the issue to shift the conversation away from suggesting that we finally have effective gun regulation. Because to these fucking ghouls, everyone having the right to own a murder machine supersedes the lives of innocent people whose only crime was happening to run errands at the wrong place at the wrong time, or children going into their school building thinking they're gonna have a normal day only to leave the school building in a body bag. This isn't me saying that every gun owner should have their gun seized or any shit like that, even though I fucking hate guns these days, but if you're a responsible gun owner, then fine. And I'm totally sympathetic whenever someone on the left says that minority groups who are constantly persecuted should be armed to defend themselves. So if you're arming yourself for the purpose of self-defense and nothing more, then again, fine. But too many people who have a history of violent and or mental health episodes end up getting their hands on guns because they didn't go through a sufficient enough background check, and then were so shocked when they end up murdering someone or a large group of people. And this is the case for the shooter in Jacksonville the other day. From FirstCoastNews.com, in 2017, he was involved in a Baker Act, which is a Florida law that enables families and loved ones to provide emergency mental health services and temporary detention for people who are impaired because of their mental illness and are unable to determine their needs for treatment. So the Jacksonville shooter had a history of mental health issues. It was to the point where he had to be removed from his home, so I don't think he was very trustworthy around guns. Well, he definitely wasn't, considering what he ended up doing, but you know what I mean. This also isn't me saying that neurodivergent people should be barred from being able to arm themselves. I'm just saying that if you have a history of behavior that proves that perhaps you aren't very trustworthy around a weapon that is capable of mass murder, then you shouldn't be able to obtain said weapon. And in the Jacksonville shooter's case, he had a documented history of said behavior, but was still able to get his hands on guns regardless. This issue is unique to our country. We are the only developed nation, quote-unquote, that has mass shootings like this happen on the regular. Yes, mental health issues do play a factor into why one commits a mass shooting. Well, in the case of the Jacksonville shooter and any of these other scumbags who commit mass shootings in the name of extreme bigotry, there's a lot more going on with them than just mental health issues. But yes, mental health should absolutely be taken more seriously in this country. But are you actually going to put your money where your fucking mouths are, Republicans? Of fucking course not, because you don't actually care about the issue, and again would rather virtue signal about the issue to shift the conversation away from gun reform, because that NRA money is just too good. Not everyone should have a gun, and it should not be as fucking easy to obtain a gun in this country as it is currently, and unless we actually start doing something to address this issue, we are going to continue to see mass shootings happen on the regular in this country. So what's more important to you, pew pew or human life? I already know my answer. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.